Hello and welcome to the Cloud Therapist channel. I'm Richard Simon. Today I'm covering the Cloud Expo Europe Show in London, and I am in a DeLorean. This is the 2024 show, and we're really grateful for EnterpriseDB, EDB, for lending us their stand to actually do the review. We're going to just go through the show and kind of have a little bit of a conversation. So let me introduce my guest. This is Pedro. Pedro, can you give us a quick intro to yourself, please?
Yeah, my name is Pedro Borracha. I'm currently the CISO for TechD, and it has been a really lovely 2 days being here with you.
Fantastic. Okay, so Pedro, let's kind of just talk a little bit about the show. How's the show been for you? What you kind of been enjoying about it?
Well, enjoying might be too strong a word, but it was expected that AI would be a very strong topic this year, and it was. There's discussions about AI left, right, and center, and up and down. Everyone is an AI expert, and everyone is ready for AI. It's a bit too much, but we'll talk about that later. So, coming back to your question, yeah, AI. Everything is about AI here.
Yeah, I think I've picked up on that as well. I think we'll probably show some footage around that as well later on. Excellent. Okay, so what have been some of the kind of themes that you've picked up on in your sort of walking around all the aisles in the show? What have you picked up on in terms of themes apart from AI?
Apart from AI, I've seen that, especially on the DevOps side, things have been bothly evolving, because now there's DevOps with AI, so things are moving forward. However, and I'll talk about that in a second, we're still talking about things that we were talking 5 years ago. We're still talking about migrating to the cloud, your new journey. We're still talking about the spoilers, shift left. I think that as technology moves on, the industry should move along with it, and sometimes I see vendors and always talking about the same thing, and very personally, I don't like it.
Right. I think there's probably a reason for this. Probably because a lot of companies are still migrating, so they're not all fully yet in the cloud. So,
but you have so many vendors that say that migration is easy, and they will help you do it.
I wouldn't say that. I'm one of those, but I wouldn't say that. But it's the system integrator, but I wouldn't say that.
Where the problem lies. Lots of promises, and then migration takes a long time. It hasn't happened for a long list of people, and I understand that. Just don't say that migration to the cloud is easy. It isn't.
Yeah, and also I think the show is quite generic, so it's kind of trying to focus on a lot of different areas. So you got cloud, you got security, you got data, you got AI now sort of being prevalent across all of that. And we've seen obviously the data center side as well, and so on. So I think from that, those are kind of most of the sort of areas that we've seen people are kind of discussing and talking and doing their keynotes and presentations on as well. We'll try and provide some more details about all the keynotes and things like that later on. I'll probably include some stuff in the description of the video. But yeah, so just on the data center side, I kind of noticed that most people were still doing data center stuff. We did pick up on a couple of people around AI or mentioning AI.
One.
Just one.
And I did take a look around, and there was one.
And we did do our steps right at that in that area as well. So yeah.
So I was actually surprised to see that there was only one vendor that said we are AI ready. But yeah, I don't think that they want to do a lot of new stuff, because it's been working like this for 40 years.
Yeah, but I think the issue is that those vendors are going to be, if they're not getting engaged in building AI systems and building racks and data centers and things like that, and power, cooling, and so on, systems that are geared for AI workloads, I think they're going to get left behind.
I hate to say it, but I think that many will, because if you only see one vendor here, and we had a lot of vendors, only one talking about AI, that tells us that not many of them are looking that far ahead. So yeah, they should. Tip.
Yeah, it's exactly that's our tip for the vendors. But yeah, I mean, especially with the likes of Microsoft and AWS and Google, all announcing stuff around AI, and they're hyperscalers, so they're going to do it really efficiently and on a huge scale, right? So if you're kind of in that DC space, I guess you really should be focusing on, trying to introduce that kind of service and solution as well.
I think you should be focusing on the same event, what's going to happen next year. Because if you're only focusing on what happened this year, I mean, I'm talking to them, not to you, but yeah, I do see a risk of some of them falling behind, as you mentioned, and I wouldn't wish that to anyone, but they need to catch up with the rest of the industry. So
yeah, definitely. Okay, so what's been kind of the most interesting thing for you that you've seen at the event?
I've seen a very interesting. Did you talk about presentations or what?
Stands.
I saw a very interesting presentation from GitLab. But it was interesting from start to finish, with one caveat. We're still talking about shift-left security.
Right.
I believe in shift-left security. I just don't think that it should be, first of all, new to anyone. And I don't think that it should be something that you're aiming to do. Security should be shifted left as default. I don't think that telling people that you need to shift your security left, it's a bit insulting. Because DevOps and DevSecOps, you know what I'm going to say next, there shouldn't be a difference. DevOps should be secure. So for me, separation between DevOps and DevSecOps just opens a can of worms. Do you mean SecOps has security and DevOps is not secure? There are so many things I could say. We don't have the time. So I still see that same note being played. I didn't like it, but everything else from the GitLab presentation, it's amazing. They want to consider security from the get-go of a product. And it felt like a very mature product. It's open source. And it felt really that they weren't selling something that they can't prove they do. No, it felt like they're putting their money where their mouth is. So
right, and I think also it's probably fair to say that when you're at these sort of exhibitions, you have to kind of do a little bit of education as well. Some of the other conversations I've had with people have said, we are having to kind of explain some things in a very basic way.
Yeah. It happens every single day. And one of the things that I keep telling is that my role in cybersecurity is about educating people and talking about things that for me are basic. And sometimes I'm talking to a CEO or a CTO, not you, but other CTOs, and sometimes you have to just be humble and simple and assume that people need to know the foundations, and they might not know the foundations because there's a CEO. I think it's a big part of security to talk without fear to anyone in the business, and I've seen that in here. I've talked with many people, I talk a lot, and there is a will to learn. What I just don't like is for someone that is junior and comes here 3 years in a row and he or she sees the same topics, maybe he or she doesn't want to continue going into cybersecurity. They talk about the same thing. That's my concern. It's about the more younger candidates that might not enjoy the same thing over and over again. But that's me. I ramble.
That's okay. And I think, like I said earlier, it's quite hard to hit that mark where everything is going to be relevant to everybody who's coming to the show. That's, I think, the challenge that this kind of show has.
And there were so many more people this year. The first day, yesterday, was very challenging. It was a bit too crowded for me personally, but second day, today, it's been better. Still a lot of people. I think that's good. It was just yesterday that it felt really too crowded.
Okay, so what about any particular statements or any advertising that you saw, any other sort of conversations and talks and things like that you found were interesting for you?
Yes, I saw one that keeps going around in my head, and I need to mention it. So there was an ad, I'm not going to mention by whom, that said that AI will help a business eliminate risk. This does not exist. Mitigate risk, fine. Reduce risk to an acceptable level, fine.
That's a huge guarantee.
But eliminate risk, I think it's very it's a bit too much to say that AI is going to eliminate your risk. Whoa, really? It's not going to happen. Risk will never be eliminated. And I thought that, oh, come on. I love risk management for a long time, and it was a bit insulting to read that someone says that AI will eliminate your risk. No, AI won't eliminate your risk. Nothing will ever eliminate your risk. That's just it. It's not just me saying, it's how it is. You will never have no risk. So I did think it was a bit too much.
Yeah, and I think it's you're right. It's more about mitigating the risk, right, rather than kind of trying to, because you can. There's always something that's going to make it difficult for you to actually eliminate risk altogether, right? That's not always going to be possible. Okay, so what else has kind of been some of the themes in security that you've kind of picked up on? Anything else that kind of we talked about shift left and eliminating risk, kind of maybe a bit contentious. But what else is kind of that you're generally sort of seeing at the moment?
I've seen something that I actually made a presentation about in 2013 that is now, finally, I should have patented.
It's coming to the forefront now? Finally.
I talked about the security software development lifecycle. And for a long time, people were talking about the software development lifecycle. Only now, the SSDLC starts to really become a thing because people understand that the whole product path needs to be secure from the beginning. And why do you do that? Because when you're going to go into production, if you have a critical or a high vulnerability, security would not allow something to be deployed. Should something be deployed with a critical or high vulnerability? I personally don't think so. For example, GitLab has a way to allow someone to approve that. Of course, it's going to get logged, it's going to be audited, and if you let a critical go into production and then you have a problem, you can, even in a baseless environment, you can point a finger and ask, hey, why did you approve this? But I'm happy that the whole SDLC is being considered that there needs to be secure from start to finish, not just in the middle or in the beginning, the full thing. I'm very happy with that. And I remember that presentation I did in 2013, yes.
Right, I mean, I think the one for me that I didn't see as much as I would have liked to have seen was really the kind of the contentious point between DevOps and platform engineering. I'd have liked to have seen a little bit more on that. I think there was probably a few discussions, and we'll try and maybe point out a few of those in the description of the video. But I didn't really see as much of that. And again, I guess that goes back to, like we said earlier, it's the type of show. It's not kind of in depth in that much, and it's not kind of geeky and focused in those specific areas. Yeah, so, okay. All right, well, thank you very much, Pedro, for your time. Really appreciate it, and thanks for all your input. Obviously, we can't do the show justice because there's just so much here to cover. We'll try and maybe put some more details in the description of the video. Yeah, but I hope you've enjoyed the show. Thanks again to EDB for lending us their stand. And that's it for now, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel to support me. You may also want to check out some of the other videos on this channel. Bye for now.